welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to be going over one of my favorite tarantula species, that is Chilobrachys fimbratus, commonly referred to as the Indian violet tarantula. We're going to be rehousing this tarantula into a fully bioactive setup, as well as going over the care and husbandry. Now before rehousing, the enclosure I had, the soil was a little bit too compact, there's a little bit too much moisture, not enough ventilation, and the enclosure wasn't bioactive. All three of these things adding up in this tarantula's enclosure can lead to mold, as there's too much moisture in the first place. The moisture can't really get out of the substrate, and even if it does, the ventilation is too blocked off for it to really get out. And with it not being a bioactive setup, that means there's nothing to eat the mold once it starts to grow, so we're going to be changing those things today. When I found mold in this tarantula's enclosure, even though it was only a little tiny speck, it instantly made me rush to take everything out and throw almost all of it out. Although it doesn't sound like a big deal, mold can be detrimental to your tarantula's health, as it can leave it with temporary or permanent health effects, and it can even kill the tarantula. The best way to prevent mold, in my opinion, is to make sure you have proper compaction in your substrate, proper ventilation, and proper humidity and water levels. Now, if you do ever find yourself in a situation like this where you find any mold, make sure to get it all out by the time there's still a little speck. Make sure that you get better ventilation, if that means drilling more holes, maybe getting a new enclosure, whatever that may be. Make sure you replace that substrate completely, any wood, all of that needs to be gone. And I highly recommend getting springtails or isopods for a bioactive setup. All of this tarantula right here might not look all that big. When I first got it, it came in this, compact with toilet paper, at only 1/4 of an inch. This tarantula has eaten well, grown rapidly, and done very healthy, no matter what the complexities of the species are. Now, one more thing I want to say before I get into the care, husbandry, and rehousing plus bioactive setup is, if you do want to get a species like this, or just any animal in general, make sure you do your research. This should be one of many videos before getting this tarantula. That's videos, articles, all of those different things. Make sure you do your research properly before getting any species of animal. Now, with plenty of dragging on and explanations, let's get into building this enclosure. Like most other builds, we start this enclosure off with our substrate. Chilobrachys fimbratus, or the Indian violet tarantula, as you may have guessed by the common name, is found throughout India. More specifically, this species finds their homes in the ground of many semi-tropical forests in India. Even more specifically than that, they are a heavily fossorial tarantula, meaning they dig deep tunnels and live underground. They will spend most of their time webbing and defending this tunnel. In this case, we use semi-compact cocoa fiber to insist the tunnel holds shape. Being from the Chilobrachys genus, this species is very fast, defensive, and aggressive. They react quick to contact and movement around them or their webbing. But more about these reactions later, because now we're going to add in our wood, which will be used as anchor points, as this is a very heavy webbing species and it will fill its whole enclosure with web. However, I do take a really long time to find good places for this wood to go, so I think now will be a good time to explain that this is a more complex species and should not be kept by non-experienced keepers. And that's just the care that I think is that complex. That's not including the fact that this is an old world tarantula, and the genus that this tea is from is also known for its aggressive and potentially dangerous personality. As you can see, this tarantula has absolutely no problem showing its slaps, aggression, threat poses, and even bites. They are very sassy, skittish, and defensive. When feeling threatened with what feels like nowhere to run and hide, this tarantula may turn to attacking anything perceived as a threat. Being an old tarantula, especially one from the Chilobrachys genus, this tea can inflict a gnarly bite with extremely sour toxins in their venom. Reported symptoms from the venom are high fever, severe cramping, vomiting, nausea, extreme severe pain, and swelling. Although it can hurt extremely bad, no tarantula has enough venom to kill a person and doesn't want to bite or waste any of their venom on them. They would only use a small amount of their total venom to scare you off. In fact, if they could talk, I'm sure that they would say, "With great power comes great responsibility." And now, after way too long, I finally find a place for these two pieces of wood to go. I decided to make 2 archways, so hopefully the tarantula will be able to web this up nicely. Like I mentioned, this tarantula makes these webbed homes in semi-tropical Indian forests, meaning there's high humidity along with mosses, barks, and foliage. We include all this as well as starting our bioactive setup by adding a small plant in the corner that has done well with this tea before. And after adding our plant, we grab our springtail colony and crack them open. This strange looking container is filled with moss and springtails. Springtails are tiny, hard to see critters that eat decaying life and other filth within the enclosure. This helps sustain and keep the cage clean as well as healthy and mold free. For a little bit of size reference, these are the springtails under the macro lens next to the container they came in. And now just enjoy the last few moments of me building this enclosure as it comes to an end. I tossed in the giant springtail colony. This is covering a lot of the surface with moss, springtails, and charcoal the springtails are going to eat until the bioactive setup kicks off. Now the last thing we're gonna do is wipe it down.
No.
What do you mean no?
Yeah, future me here, actually watching this video back, editing it, forgot to add water to it, so we're gonna do that real quick.
Now we really wipe it down and it's all set. Now we're just gonna get our last looks at the tea before we put in its new enclosure and it webs up and tunnels and hides for a while. Well, our Chilobrachys fimbratus makes it into their new enclosure safe, and we safely make our way through finishing another video. That's going to wrap up this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video and want to support the channel, make sure to like, comment down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to subscribe and push the bell notification so that you get notifications every time that I upload. Thank you for watching. Bye.